As an avid roller coaster and amusement park fan, I've accumulated quite the collection of theme park merchandise over the years. I have apparel, and I have other items. I made a separate video talking about my favorite t-shirts I've gotten over the years, so in this video I'll talk about all the other knickknacks I've gotten at theme parks. To start, let's talk about my map collection. I have a ton of theme park brochures and park maps for parks all across the globe. I have the small ones you can find in hotels, I have the fold-up ones you can get at the park, or in some rare cases, I have those giant souvenir maps you could get at the Six Flags parks, particularly in the early 2000s. I really love those giant souvenir maps because it's a real cool snapshot in time for the park, and you have a lot more detail that you can't quite get in that little map. I also have a huge collection of magnets. This is only one side of my fridge, but there's even more off to the other side. Magnets are a really nice souvenir because they're usually pretty cheap, and I have a ton of space in my fridge that I can easily stick these onto. And it's really cool to see all the different designs you can get for magnets. You have ones that simply have the ride logo, but others incorporate the ride vehicle, or more recently, I've been able to get on-ride photos as magnets, which I really like because I've gotten so many of the conventional on-ride photos that it's neat to get something you can see in the fridge every day. I also have a few mugs, and my favorite is this Time Traveler mug from Silver Dollar City. I think Time Traveler has one of the best logos of any roller coaster, so when you can get that in a mug, plus those awesome looking ride vehicles, they had me. I had to buy this mug, and it's probably my favorite one that I own. Another weird souvenir item that I have is this baseball from Hershey Park in the early 2000s. It had the Hershey Park name on the front, but it also had all the different roller coaster logos on it, which is really cool because you don't usually see this at most amusement parks. Another souvenir I like from the mid-2000s is this Mr. Six bobblehead. I used to have a bunch of bobbleheads for sports players growing up, so it was neat to find one for this old man that was the Six Flags mascot for a little bit. He brought me so much joy seeing how crazily he was dancing on those TV commercials. I also have started collecting Nano coasters for any ride that I deem to be pretty special for me. And the three I've built up so far are El Toro, Orion, and Millennium Force. Now, for all those who are claiming that Orion is not a Giga, well, you might be right because El Toro's the same height. Okay, I'm kidding. My first Nano coaster took me 3 hours to build. That was because I was using nail clippers to try to trim the pieces out, and I found out that was a futile exercise. I was able to do it, but it required a lot of dexterity, hand strength, and I completely destroyed a pair of nail clippers. For the later Nano coasters, I used a pair of wire clippers and it was so much easier. That allowed me to actually enjoy the experience of building up these coasters rather than getting frustrated how long it took me to get all the pieces off the sheet metal. I also love my collection of roller coaster and ride vehicles. One of my favorites is this one for Dododon at Fuji Q Highland. The model is extremely detailed. You have even the windshield in the front of the car, you have the new restraints, and the track is accurate to what S&S actually used on the ride. And this isn't a static model either. If you tilt the track, the train has the ability to slide right off. I also love my old and new test track vehicles. Unfortunately, little me played with the old test track vehicle like a Hot Wheels car, so I unfortunately knocked the windshield off. But I've taken much better care of the new one. I think it's really neat to just see how the details between the two cars have changed over time. Another Disney item that I love is my Slinky Dog Dash playset. This was sold outside the exit to Slinky Dog Dash, and I immediately had to get it. Not only does the playset look exactly like the second launch sequence, but you have the ride vehicle, which albeit is shortened up, but it has the same cute design of Slinky Dog on the front, and it's really neat how this is a functional playset that you can launch the train across it. The Merlin parks have these awesome little resin figures, and my favorite one that I own is for Nemesis. I just love how you have the ride's logo in the center with an element of the coaster track around it. At the Pennsylvania parks, I've been able to get these really awesome wood carved items. At Kennywood, I got this really cool looking park logo. But my favorite is probably the one I got from Connie at Lake Park. If you've been to Connie at Lake Park, you know it doesn't look the best. You'll see rides on the verge of falling apart and cracked asphalt everywhere. It's really a shame that traditional park is in the state it's in. That's why I find it funny that this Blue Streak model makes the park look so nice. Honestly, it was the nicest thing I saw at the entire park, this model. It ended up costing me twice as much as my park admission. This cost $20, which I thought was a great deal. It's really neat how it shows off the entire layout for Blue Streak, which is a really underrated coaster. Yes, it's rough, but the airtime in the first 3 hills is legit. Knobles also had a wood carved model for Phoenix, and one advantage that this one has, I really liked how it's 3D if you look at it from the front on. Phoenix is one of my favorite coasters, so anytime I could get merchandise for it, the park had me. Another item that I love from Knobles is this blanket. Like the t-shirt I talked about in the prior video, I love how this Knobles blanket doesn't focus on just the roller coasters. It really shows off why Knobles is an amazing park as a whole. You have Phoenix and Twister, but you also have the classic carousel in the middle, with the haunted house up top, and even the flume. Again, Knobles is so much more than just the roller coasters, and this blanket really represents that. The last item I want to highlight is a piece of wood from Excalibur at Funtown, USA in Maine. This is the only used piece that I have from a roller coaster, so it means a lot to me, even if it's just a piece of wood. Excalibur used to have this awesome gift shop when you came off the ride that used to sell medieval swords and used pieces of wood. Unfortunately, that gift shop now sells just your average little cheap items like foam swords and silly hats. But back when they sold the wood, I made sure to get a piece because this coaster was one that I rode on many summer vacations. So those are my favorite pieces of roller coaster merchandise that I've purchased at parks over the years. What are your favorite items you've found at parks? I'd love to hear down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate if you gave it a like and consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.